Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Gail GoodReads, and I am Dr. Gail. And the book that we're going to talk about today is called The Ride of Her Life by Elizabeth Lutz. This was published in 2022, but it was written at a time in 1954. And this is about a woman named Annie who is brought up pretty much in poverty. She lives on her family farm, but she doesn't have any relatives. There's one in-law that she lives with, and they're both elderly at the time. This woman is very self-reliant. She only has a sixth grade education, and she's worked on the farm all her life. So she's a hard worker. She's very industrial. And she finds herself in a circumstance when she's age 62 where her relative dies, and she's by herself, and she has to take care of this farm. And not only that, but she gets ill herself with pneumonia. And when she gets out of the hospital, she realizes that this is just going to be too much for her. So she has to make a decision. And she does decide to sell the farm and buy a horse, and takes her companion with her, which is a dog named Dépêche-toi, which is French for hurry up. And the dog is a real cute character. And this is a decision that they make to go on the road and to go from Maine, rural Maine, to California by horseback. So this takes place in 1954, and the author, Elizabeth Lutz, has done her due diligence because this is a true story, and she has looked at multiple resources, interviewed many people to get the story as accurate as possible. So this is a time when our country is becoming less and less rural and more urban and suburban. So a lot of farms are being sold, and the highways are being laid down. And this is also a time when medical advancements are being made, like antibiotics and vaccinations. So it is an exciting time to be alive. And this woman makes her journey on this horse, and you do feel like you are on the horse with her. Elizabeth has a way of telling this story that is extremely intriguing, and we go on these adventures with this woman. And one thing that does strike me is the kindness that people show her as she makes her way across the country. She does become somewhat of a celebrity because the journalists in the local areas that she travels through get hold of the story, and they come to meet her, and she becomes part of parades and things like that. The woman, however, is really considered homeless. Annie is her name, and she is considered a homeless person because really, truly, that's what she is. So the author also does talk a little bit about the homeless situation. In the past, those people were called hobos or tramps. We now refer to them as homeless people. But one of the things I learned that I found very interesting is that the number of homeless people skyrockets after a war. When people come home and there's peacetime, these people often find that they have no job, their family is displaced, and they have no purpose. And so they do become homeless. And we have seen this happen in our country several times, almost to a predictable rate. On the other hand, a lot of fun adventures in this book. And there are some sad times as well. Especially, I'm no spoiler here, but there was one time where something happened and I was crying and I couldn't read because I was crying so hard I put the book down. And then a few minutes later, I picked the book up, and you know what? I got back on that horse with Annie, and we rode the rest of the way to the Pacific Ocean. So I hope you give this book a try. Our book club loved it. In fact, some of the people in our book club said it was the best book that they had ever read. And I certainly would have to agree. So again, it's called The Ride of Her Life by Elizabeth Lutz. And I hope you like it. We'll see you next time.